very badly. Joining us right now to talk about taxes, trade, the budget, and much more is Senator Pat Toomey. He serves on the Banking, Budget, and Finance Committees. And sir, thank you for joining us this morning. It's a big day where we're going to be hearing more about the tax plan details. What do you expect to hear? What do you want to hear?
Well, I'm getting increasingly optimistic we're going to hear about a very pro-growth tax reform plan. I'm excited about much lower marginal rates, certainly on business, also on individuals. I think we're going to see some simplification. I'm hoping that we'll see a fix to our badly flawed international tax policy where we tax income all around the world, almost unique among major industrial countries. So what I think we're going to see is a much more competitive, pro-growth tax code that will help get us the kind of economic recovery that we've been waiting for.
You also are expecting that we probably won't see many of the details till quite a bit later on. Earlier this morning, it was described as today we're going to get the pleasure points of it. We're not going to hear the pain points until later. What do you think about the wrangling back and forth? Is there a way to find enough agreement on not only both sides of the aisle, but just the different wings of the Republican Party to get that passed?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we are iterating our way to getting to the same page. I mean, we, Senate Republicans, House Republicans, the White House. But let's be honest, the big challenge we're going to have is getting a nearly universal agreement among Senate Republicans and very broad agreement among House Republicans that tax reform doesn't have to be revenue neutral, that we can use economic growth to replace any lost revenue from lower marginal rates. That will require a new budget resolution to give us the tools to pass that in the Senate with a simple majority vote, and since no Democrats are going to work with us on this, we will need that tool. So we've got to get that consensus. The President can help build that consensus. The promise of stronger economic growth that we've been needing and waiting for so long, I think, is the reason to do it.
Sir?
So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Just so I understand, the consensus you need to build is that dynamic scoring can be used to generate enough revenue so that way you get to something that's close to deficit neutral, and therefore, as a result, you can actually pass it with just Republicans. Do I understand that?
Yeah, Michelle, that's essentially correct, but I would also point out that the scorekeepers in Washington don't give you much credit for a dynamic score. Even when asked to provide that, they tend not to think that lower marginal rates, for instance, matter very much. I disagree. I think they do. I think that's what evidence and economic theory both suggest.
So if that's true, are you going to have some revenue raisers in there in order to satisfy that rule?
There should be some revenue raisers because we have provisions in the tax code where we give away money to people we shouldn't be giving it to. So I'm in favor of eliminating that kind of waste. That generates some revenue. But what I'm suggesting is at the end of the day, it's okay if the Joint Tax Committee and the CBO give us a score that says, oh, this will come out $1 trillion below the $45 trillion we're currently projecting for the 10-year budget window. That's okay.
Right.
That'll be considered a tax cut, but growth will more than offset it.
Senator, one of the big issues that we've heard about in the past 24 hours is that there will be a pass-through for small businesses and frankly large businesses set up as an LLC or a business. That would help small businesses to a large degree, but by the way would also help a hedge fund manager who has his own fund, law firm that has their own fund where there's a partnership. They would be paying a 15% rate. Does that make sense to you?
So, I think 15% is a great goal. As you know, C Corps have a double layer of tax because after they pay the corporate tax, when they distribute dividends, the receiver, the shareholder, pays tax on that income as well, and pass-throughs do not have that double taxation. So you can have some differential and still have a fair system. That differential probably is somewhere in the mid to high single digits, and you still have economic parity between the pass-through and the C Corp because of this double taxation.
I think the spirit of Andrew's question, and weigh in here if I'm wrong, is that a lot of individuals, because of their income, who would be at the top tax bracket under the individual tax code, they can suddenly become their small businesses instead become a contractor and move their tax rate from 39 or 35 or whatever the top rate's going to be down to 15. Is that okay?
Like I say, it wouldn't be 15, right? If the C Corp rate is 15, the pass-through rate that's equivalent to that is higher than 15.
Okay.
It's certainly not 33, but it's higher than 15. It is important, I think, that the top individual rate be close to the pass-through rate. As you know, we've had that's been the same, right?
I guess the only point I was trying to raise there is one of the things that President Trump said on the campaign trail repeatedly was that he did, and by the way, Steve Mnuchin said on our set, was that he didn't want to lower taxes meaningfully for the wealthy, wanted to do it for the middle class. Having said that, if you're a real estate developer, and I'm not mentioning any names, or if you're a hedge fund manager, or if you work at a law firm, and you'd normally be in that high bracket, it's clearly you'd be able to lower your taxes substantially.
Yeah, well,
even with the break that you're talking about.
What tends to happen when you lower the tax burden overall, the people who pay a lot of taxes do end up paying a little less in taxes. That's the way it tends to work out, and that's okay. What this is about for me is maximizing economic growth. You know, if you take the corporate rate, corporations don't really pay taxes. Who pays those taxes? It's the shareholders, it's the customers, and it's the employees in the form of lower wages. If we can lower the rate on American businesses, then our pension plans do better, employees get a raise, and consumers and customers get lower prices, and we're more competitive on the world stage. It's really a powerful way to encourage growth.
Senator, I want to thank you for your time today. Obviously, this is a huge issue that we will return to time and time again, and we hope to see you again.